My wife Emma begged me to have children, but as soon as our twins were born, she vanished like a migratory bird fleeing winter. Now she's trapped in addiction's quicksand, yet dreams of returning to our lives. Emma and I had been together since high school. In my eyes, she was a fairy from dreams, motivating me to excel academically just for her. After we moved in together and my career stabilized, she suddenly changed her mind, yearning for children. I hesitated, but she dropped hints everywhere, accidentally leaving baby catalogs around, praising every child we passed on the street. Finally, I surrendered. I'm ready to have kids, I told her. Her face bloomed into that radiant smile she reserved for genuine joy, and my heart fluttered like captured butterflies. We tried that very night, and weeks later, 2 pink lines announced the good news. However, clouds quickly shadowed our happiness. Emma grew increasingly distant about the upcoming baby, and during an ultrasound appointment, learning we were having twins triggered not excitement, but visible disappointment. She even asked the doctor to check again. Her attitude froze like a winter lake. When I asked what color she wanted for the double stroller, she coldly replied, "I don't care," before returning to television. Anxiety gnawed at me, but attributing her behavior to pregnancy hormones, I doubled my attentiveness, cooking homemade meals and offering more foot massages. As her belly grew, our relationship crumbled like an avalanche. She began rejecting all physical contact. In bed, if even my toe touched her, she'd immediately shift away. Hand-holding, her face would contort in pain until I released her. I felt like a terrible husband, especially after discovering her watching a romantic movie alone, a ritual we'd shared since the day we met. Desperate, I called her friend Stacy. On the phone, Stacy reminded me her loyalty belonged to Emma, but left me with a chilling warning. If I were you, I'd prepare for anything that might happen in that delivery room. As those words hung in the air, Emma's scream shattered the silence. Her water had broken. The ambulance arrived with ominous red lights illuminating our apartment. Between intense contractions, I caught something in Emma's eyes beyond pain. Hesitation and fear, unrelated to imminent birth. At the hospital, medical staff, monitors, and instructions created a dizzying whirlwind. When the head nurse cautiously asked Emma if she'd discussed her birth plan with her husband, my stomach twisted with dread, Stacy's warning echoing in my mind. After hours of labor, our first daughter entered the world with a powerful cry. Yet when the doctor placed her on Emma's chest, the happy smile I expected never appeared. Emma merely glanced at our baby before anxiously looking toward the nurse. Our second daughter quickly followed, equally healthy and strong. I followed the nurses to clean and check the babies, counting fingers and toes with tearful joy. Returning to Emma's side, I found her whispering with copper-haired Nurse Piper, immediately falling silent at my approach. The next morning, strange events unfolded. Piper informed me Emma requested private space, but I could visit my daughters. All morning, I held my newborn girls, learning to tell them apart. Lily, with a birthmark on her shoulder, Rose with the stronger grip. Finally, allowed into Emma's room that afternoon, I found her staring vacantly out the window. "The girls are beautiful," I said softly. Emma turned toward me, eyes red-rimmed, and delivered the words confirming my worst fears. "I can't do this, Jake. I never wanted twins. Honestly, I never really wanted any of this." In my shock, Emma explained she'd agreed to having children, only fearing she might lose me. But twins pushed her beyond her limits. She'd signed discharge papers. Her sister Tina would arrive within the hour. "There's a letter at home explaining everything. The girls will be better with just you." My protests, pleas, and eventual anger crashed against a wall of determination. Emma had decided long before our children were born. When Tina arrived, Emma left without even saying goodbye to our day-old daughters, walking out of the hospital and our lives forever. The following days passed in a surreal fog. Paperwork, nursing instructions, and the crushing reality of becoming a single father to newborn twins. Hospital staff provided tremendous support, especially Piper, who seemed to overcompensate with kindness, perhaps guilty about her role in Emma's plan. 5 days after birth, we were discharged. Driving home with extreme caution, I constantly checked the rearview mirror to ensure my daughters remained secure in their car seats. Entering our apartment alone with 2 infant carriers, the full weight of my new reality knocked the breath from my lungs. Emma's letter waited on the kitchen counter, 5 handwritten pages, explaining she never wanted motherhood. Twins were her breaking point, and she believed the girls would thrive better with me than a mother who resented their existence. She ended by asking me not to find her, promising her lawyer would contact me about formal custody arrangements. Those first weeks blurred into sleepless nights, diaper changes, and precisely timed bottle feedings. My boss unexpectedly arranged remote work for 3 months. My parents drove from Florida to stay a month, teaching me how to bathe squirming infants. Friends I hadn't seen in years appeared with casseroles and offers to help, forming a support network that kept me afloat when drowning seemed inevitable. Emma's absence reopened like a wound whenever someone innocently asked about the girl's mother. I crafted a dignified response. Their mother decided parenting wasn't for her, so it's just us three now. Official custody papers arrived with Emma relinquishing all parental rights, asking only that I not seek child support in return. Against my lawyer's advice, I signed, wanting this chapter closed cleanly rather than maintaining connections that might let Emma disrupt our lives again. The twins grew rapidly, developing distinct personalities despite identical genes. Lily, more observant and cautious. Rose, more adventurous and vocal. I documented everything, creating separate albums and journals for each girl, determined they would never question how wanted and loved they were, despite their mother's absence. By their first birthday, we'd established our own family unit with natural routines and traditions. By their second birthday, Lily first asked about her mommy, after noticing her playmate Tucker had both parents. Despite preparing for this question, explaining to a toddler why her mother left crushed my heart. Child psychologist Azaria helped navigate these conversations appropriately for their age, emphasizing families come in all shapes. We created a family book with photos of everyone who loved them. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, close friends, focusing on the abundance of love in their lives rather than the one missing person. Shortly after their third birthday, while enjoying weekend pancakes, a knock disrupted our carefully constructed peace. Opening the door revealed Emma, nearly unrecognizable from the woman who'd walked out 3 years earlier. Her once healthy frame had withered, clothes hanging loosely, dark circles beneath bloodshot eyes. "I need to see my daughters," she slurred, alcohol heavy on her breath despite the early hour. I instinctively blocked her view into the apartment where the girls happily smeared syrup on pancakes. "You gave up that right 3 years ago," I replied steadily. Emma's face twisted with anger and desperation. "I'm their mother," she hissed, attempting to push past me. "I have rights." The legal papers flashed in my mind. "You're clearly not in a state to see them right now," I said firmly. "If you want to discuss this, get sober and contact my lawyer." Her demeanor suddenly shifted to tears, explaining how she'd lost her job, apartment, and how her sister finally kicked her out after months, enabling her substance abuse. "I have nowhere to go," she admitted, "and I remember how good you always were with money." The truth crystallized. This wasn't about reconnecting with our daughters, but finding financial support after exhausting all options. I gave her my lawyer's contact information and firmly closed the door. Emma's reappearance triggered legal consultations and security measures, new locks, updated emergency contacts at preschool, warning teachers. My lawyer reassured me Emma's rights were legally terminated. Any visitation would require court-mandated sobriety tests and supervision. For weeks, I jumped at unexpected knocks and scrutinized unfamiliar cars. The anticipated legal battle never materialized, as Emma apparently lacked resources or sobriety to pursue it. Instead, she left tearful, incoherent voicemails, alternating between begging to see the girls and accusing me of stealing her children. 6 months later, Tina called explaining Emma had entered rehabilitation after being found unconscious in a motel room. Doctors discovered deteriorating liver function with an ultimatum: get clean or face potentially fatal consequences. Tina asked if I'd consider allowing Emma contact with the girls after completing her 90-day program, suggesting reunion might motivate sobriety. I remained firm. The girls' well-being came first. Any relationship would develop slowly, professionally supervised, only after Emma demonstrated long-term sobriety and stability.
Life continued. Preschool graduations, summer vacations, expanding vocabularies and personalities. I dated occasionally until meeting Poe, a children's librarian who ran Saturday Story Hour the girls adored. Our relationship evolved naturally from casual conversations during Story Hour to coffee while the girls played, eventually to dinner dates when babysitters were available. Poe approached my situation with patience, never pushing to replace Emma but offering genuine connection with both me and the girls. On the twins' 4th birthday celebration at the local park, I noticed Emma watching from a distance. Healthier than when I'd last seen her but still bearing struggle's marks, she briefly met my eyes before leaving wrapped presents on a bench. Following Azaria's guidance, I contacted Emma through Tina, proposing a meeting with just adults to discuss potential next steps. The meeting proved productive. Emma was 6 months sober, attending therapy, with stable housing and part-time work. She acknowledged having no legal right to demand access, but expressed genuine remorse and desire to know them, however I deemed appropriate. We agreed on a cautious process. First letters and cards I would review, then supervised visits presented to the girls as meetings with a family friend until they were old enough to understand more. Meanwhile, my relationship with Poe deepened. She moved into our apartment shortly after the twins turned 5, bringing her book collection and calming presence into our daily lives. The girls adapted surprisingly easily, intuitively understanding Poe's presence added to rather than diminish their attention and love. As the girls approached 7, Poe and I discussed marriage. I proposed during a beach weekend trip with the twins as enthusiastic accomplices, holding hand-painted signs asking, "Will you be our forever po-rent?" A wordplay they found hilarious. Our small, joyful wedding in the community garden marked final healing of Emma's departure wound. We were complete, not despite our complicated history, but because of how that history shaped us into the family we'd become. The twins continued thriving, excelling in school and developing individual passions, Lily in art and science, Rose in literature and music. They understood their family story appropriately for their age, neither idealizing their absent mother nor harboring resentment. Emma remained peripheral but consistent, gradually building an appropriate relationship with her daughters. I found myself exactly where I needed to be, surrounded by love hard-won, but all the more precious for the journey taken to find it. Years later, I often reflect on those early days with wonder and gratitude. The girls turned 8, 9, then suddenly hit double digits. Their personalities blossomed surprisingly. Alice developed mathematical talent that left me scratching my head over incomprehensible homework. Rose composed melodies on our secondhand piano. Our home transformed with their growing interests. Posters replaced alphabet charts, bookshelves sagged under novels instead of picture books. I coached Alice's math team Tuesdays and attended Rose's piano recitals weekends. Sunday pancakes became sacred ritual. Movie nights featured increasingly sophisticated films, and Emma maintained monthly visits. The girls accepted her limitations without drama, understanding the difference between a mother and a mom. I became the latter through daily acts, brushing tangled hair before school, kissing scraped knees, awkwardly explaining periods with diagrams. As I sit on the porch swing with Mark watching sunset paint familiar trees, he simply says, "We did good," squeezing my hand. I nod silently. The journey from crisis to contentment stretches behind us, the path forward promising continued connection. The love surrounding us, indeed hard-won, remains my life's greatest achievement.